Oh, good evening, everyone. You are welcome to the class. How are you doing? And how has been everything? Okay, we want to proceed from where we stopped the other time. As you can see on my screen, we want to continue with our class on literature review. So we call it Literature Review Made Easy. If you remember that last week, we started looking at this concept and we have checked a few things here. We started by looking at the concept of research, as it were. We looked at different aspects of research. We looked at the different types of research that are in existence. And of course, we started looking at, okay, when we want to write thesis, writing of thesis, how do you approach it? What are the things that thesis writing connotes? These are the things that we started looking at last week. And we said for the sake of this training, we want to specifically focus on the literature review aspect. We started also by looking at different kinds of literature review that we have. And we discovered that apart from the literature review, the mainline literature review that we write in thesis, there are other kinds of review, especially that can be published independently. For instance, we have the systematic literature review, we have bibliometric review, and several other reviews that can be published independently. All right, so, and like I told us last week that with time, we are going to be looking at these different kinds of literature review one by one. Many people find it difficult to do other kinds of literature review, perhaps because they do not know. Many people did not know the steps that are required to be able to approach these other kinds of literature review. But we have decided in this training to start with the conventional literature review, especially the one that we do in thesis, so that as we are getting this, we'll be able to network into other kinds of literature review as well. All right. So if you have any question as the class progresses, you can always reach me through the description button. All right. So last week we have looked at preparing for literature review. What are those things that you need to put in place in preparation for a reasonable literature review? We also looked at how to get materials, the different kinds of literature review that are in existence, and we said we were going to focus majorly on literature review in thesis writing. All right, so look at this slide now. We dwelt on this last week, and I told us that for a thesis, we have these aspects that we look at. There is one that I did not have to hit, and that is the appraiser of literature. Appraiser of literature. Now, let me say this before I move forward. Different institutions have different models or templates that guide their research writing. I have compared nothing less than 2-3 schools in Nigeria and several other schools abroad. I discovered that each school has unique way of writing templates. I was with a doctor this week that is rolling to an end, and the guy was telling me that their school have their referencing style. Apart from the conventional APA style, apart from the Harvard style and several other styles that are out there, this school have their own APA style in Nigeria here. And if you use any other style, If you use any other style apart from their own school style, even if it is 7th edition of APA that you have used, they will reject it because it's different from their own standard of literature review. The implication of that is that whichever institution that is receiving your thesis, I will advise that the first thing to check is to check previous works that have been published by those institutions and look at what their template is. I have seen a reasonable school here in Nigeria that they have given a template out already for their own school. They called it a guide. So if you want to write thesis for them, they have a guide. Your literature review must follow that guide. If you don't follow it, they will reject it. So I will also advise scholars that are looking at, that are watching this class, especially those that are voices in their institutions, please ensure that you don't put people in darkness. Release a guide. Sometimes you waste people's time, you waste their years. Imagine somebody spending 9 years in PhD program. It is very, very common in Nigeria here, and it is very bad. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of life for people. This is a program that they can run in just 3 years and get out. So what is it that causes problem for them? Sometimes the school has its guide. You will not release the guide for them, but they will bring it this time and you cancel it. Hey, you did not put this, you did not put this. In our own school, there should be this, there should be that. The students will go back and edit it and bring it back to you. By the time he's bringing it back, you still remember something else that is in the school guide that is not in it. They are wasting the students' time. Running PhD for 5 years, for 7 years, for 10 years. I think I heard of someone who has been on PhD program since 2003, and this is 2023. 20 years. Kai. Of course, sometimes the problem is in the hand of the students, but it's not all the time. Many times it's in the hand of the school and the supervisors. Let there be a guide. Let there be a guide. Having said that, as a PG student or an undergraduate student that is writing a thesis, my advice is that before you venture into using any method, look at the template of your school. If your school does not have a standard guide for their thesis, you can always look at previous theses that have been published in the school. That will help you to be able to fashion your work aright. That will help you to be able to write something that will be acceptable in your school. So what we are going to be doing here, we are going to be dynamic. We are not going to be rigid. I have seen something that somebody jumped at, and similar thing, someone else frowned at it. So we will stand on a neutral ground and teach conventional ways, at least that you'll be able to approach literature review and do something acceptable. So it only behooves you now to go back to your own school's guide to check how do you now fashion this standard way that you have known to what is acceptable in your home school. So having established that, let's proceed. Last week also, we looked at different sources where you can get materials. It is essential that we do this because many students get stuck looking for materials. Sometimes they say there is no material, there are no materials for their work, so they could not get materials and they feel they can get. I have seen a lot. So people just look for one finished work, copy it, send it to their supervisors, and schools with different kinds of behaviors. I have seen senior lecturers that are saying they are analog, they are not digitally inclined, so you just have to print everything for them. And how do you want to test plagiarism? How do you want to test plagiarism? And usually the first thing that should happen is that whenever a student submits something, the first thing you should do is to test for plagiarism, is to conduct a test of plagiarism. Know if the student has plagiarized, because what is the essence of you wasting your time going through a work, correcting something, whereas it was copied from somewhere else? So, in a way to get out of this dilemma, if you go through any of these research gateways that are on the screen, and many other ones that are in existence, the more I work, the more I see different sources where I can get materials. There is something I did not mention here the other time. Let me quickly say this. Sometimes you have sought for a material, a useful material. Perhaps you have seen the topic somewhere and you have checked it on Google Scholar, you have seen the authors, and you have seen a basic information about that work. And now you need the work, but you could not download it. You know, sometimes they want to sell it. Sometimes they want to sell it. Now, there is something on, there is a number, there is a code on each paper. Apart from the ISSN, ISBN, there is a place where you will always see DOI. This DOI is called Digital Object Identifier. DOI, Digital Object Identifier. What is it used for? DOI, you will see a code, and those numbers that they wrote there, you can always use them to search. So there is what we called Sky-Hub. Let me show you this. Oh my. All right. There is this Sky-Hub, SCI-HUB.SE. Sky-Hub.se. You can see it on my screen. All right, so this Sky-Hub, you can always copy your DOI and put it in this Sky-Hub. If you copy your DOI and put it here, now some publications, they will allow you to be able to download it here. Or let me say, many times, if you are unable to download a book and you are able to copy the DOI and put it here, many times you will get the material here. Sky-Hub. If you just press Sky-Hub like this in your Google, it will bring your own. I've seen Sky-Hub.st before, but the one my system is loading now is SE. It has loaded .st before. Now it is loading .se. So if you also use it on your system and just press Sky-Hub in Google, it will give you the one that will work with you. So just click the first one there and it should give you this interface or something similar to this interface. You just see a place where you will be able to enter your reference. You can always put your DOI where you see this reference. All right, that's .st that I talked about. I think it's here. So we have .st, we have .se, we have .ru, and many other ones. So the same thing is what you are going to do there. Copy your DOI and put it here. It should give you the material that you are looking for. Now, if you now put your DOI here and it doesn't load the material that you are looking for, it is possible that the authors of that paper have not released it at all for free use. If possible, look for another material that is available for free that you can get anywhere on Google Scholar, CV, or anywhere, or even in Sky-Hub. But if you necessarily need such a paper, you can always buy it. You can always buy it if they did not allow you to download it for free. Another thing you can do is to look for an institution that has subscription. Many of the, especially institutions in diaspora, they have subscriptions. Let me quickly admonish our stakeholders in Nigerian university again now here. Please go for subscriptions and release codes for your students. For instance, now the use of NVivo. NVivo is a software for qualitative research. Of course, it is useful in literature review. NVivo is very, very good. It makes the work faster and easier, and it makes a student to be able to produce original work, because if we have a platform to read and to be able to code at the same time. So NVivo is a good software. Atlas TI is also there. Many of these softwares, they are platforms where people can conduct research with ease. So subscribe in these units and let students have access to it, or let your staff have access to it, so that they will be able to read and read with ease. Another thing is the subscription for Turnitin. I know of an institution that the school has Turnitin subscription, but all the students, including PhD students, we have to go to PG school for them to do the Turnitin for them. Can you imagine that? Whereas as a staff or as PhD students, they should have access to this Turnitin and let them turn their assignments in and see what is going on there and send it. So endeavor to go for some of these subscriptions. Researchgate.net is there. And some of the the journals that need subscription. If you subscribe there, especially Scopus or Elsevier, the same organization that owns Science Direct, if you subscribe in some of these databases, you will allow your researchers to be able to access as many material as possible. So if your school does not have subscription in these platforms, you can always go approach your friends in schools outside the country. Some of them have the subscription and their students have access to these subscription channels to get materials. You can always get through them and go through them and get materials that you need. So having said that, that is just a reiteration of these that we looked at last week, that it is good that we are able to access materials. And some of these materials are available for free in some of these databases that are outlined on the screen. So let's move straight. Literature review in thesis writing. We said the first thing there is to look at the theoretical review or the theoretical framework. This is what we are going to check today. We will check theoretical framework. How do we do it? So we are going to do three things. The first thing is that we are going to give general ideology, general explanation of theoretical framework. The second thing is that we are going to check some theses that they have written. I will display them for you on the screen. You will see how they have done their theoretical frameworks, how they have checked the theories, reviewed the theories, and how it has guided their works. And the third thing that we are going to do, if time permits us, is to check one together. How do we search for these theories? How do we use these theories? And I will be giving us an assignment, which I will expect everyone that is following this channel to do and submit. You can always submit them to my WhatsApp number that is on the subscription, the description thing. All right, so we are checking theoretical framework, and like I said, that we are going to check three things there. The first thing, we are going to check the general overview. The second thing, we are going to check examples of theses that they have used this before. And the third thing is that we are going to look at, okay, how do we get theories for a concept that you have in mind, and profiting from different theories and theses that we are going to be seeing, you'll be able to also do your own theory. And like I said, you can always look for your school's thesis sample and see the way they have arranged their theories and use it. I'll be explaining some things when we proceed. Theoretical framework. Let's go through this together. We said in research, a theoretical framework is a kind of literature review investigating the prevalent concepts and models relevant to a given topic or field of study. The kind of literature review investigating the prevalent concepts and models relevant to a given topic or field of study. What are we saying here? Theoretical framework as it is supposed to be the foundation, the concept that gives meaning to the whole of the research. Let's read this so that we'll explain at once. The goal is to give a detailed and critical examination of the current evidence, identify major concepts and frameworks, and weigh the benefits and downsides of each of them, Theoretical framework, as it is supposed to be what will give meaning to the research that we are conducting. There have been several theories that guide each research concept. For instance, there is technology acceptance model. Technology acceptance is a theory that someone propounded in order to guide research along that line. Someone can decide that, okay, I'm not going for this model, I'm going for this other theory, I'm going for that other theory. This theory will serve as a guide. In fact, sometimes it is the theory that should give meaning to the variables that are to be considered in a research. For instance, the theory of planned behavior studied why people did this and what they did. We also have theory of recent action. These are economic theories, or sometimes they are behaviorist theories. Like theory of planned behavior is by Haxen. So you have behaviorist theories, you have constructivist theories, and different theories like that. You have critical theories. Now, some of these theories, they have looked at a background, a framework. And so when you are doing your research, you want to align it with a framework that is existing. You want to align it to a background that will give meaning to what you are studying in the research. All right, so the role that theoretical framework has come to play goes beyond just having something put together. No, it is the theory that guides the research. It is the theory that determines the variables. It is the theory that gives shape to the ideology presented by the research. So this theory is very, very relevant, and that is why the first thing is to check the existing theories and look for the one that projects what you have in mind and be able to fashion your work, pattern it around the theory that you see that is very relevant to your work. All right? Let's look at a few things that theoretical review that it will help us to do. And if you observe, I have been using the word theoretical framework, theoretical review, as if they mean the same thing. Well, the framework is the totality of the meaning that we derive in the existing theory. But of course, review is the checking of different theories that are in existence. You are checking these theories, you are reviewing it and looking at the one you want to adapt and the reason why it is relevant to your work and the likes. That's the review activity. But the framework part of this theory that we are talking about is that it gives a framework to your work. In fact, your conceptual framework sometimes, in fact, most times, ideally, your conceptual framework is to be fashioned from your theory, the theory that guides your work. We'll see some of these things as we move forward. So we said a theoretical review might help to, number one, provide context and explain the significance of your research issue. It gives context and gives more explanation to the significance of your research. Number two, it helps to recognize the gaps and discrepancies in the existing literature. By conducting a theoretical review, and you have seen the theory that is backing your work, by the time you start looking at relevant literature to what you are studying, it will be easier for you to see what is omitted here and what is omitted there. For instance, now, I said a theory should guide you into knowing the variables to choose for your work. Now, sometimes a theory has said when you are checking a behaviorist theory, for instance, there are these parameters of human character that must appear. You want to check this, you must start from socioeconomics, the economic status of your respondent. You must look at their reaction, their willingness to do something or something. Now, there are guides, there are parameters, variables that have been outlined that we are checking, check this, check that, check this. You use this to measure this, you use this to measure that. So what you are doing in your research is to pick this variable in your own research area and say, okay, how do I check this in this my own research area and come up with it? So we said it helps to recognize gaps. It will be easier for you to see that, okay, the recommendations by this particular author, the propounder of this theory is that, okay, we can check 8 variables to measure this concept. But Henry, 2012, used only 5 of the variables. McLaurin, 2015, used 7 of the variables. The variables that were used by McLaurin were also used by Henry. But Smith, 2023, used other variables that are not in this, but that are here. So, by doing that, you have seen what they used. So by the time you also want to conduct your research, to know the variable to measure, it's not going to be a problem. I have seen a research that when the students presented the research, the question was, what exactly are you measuring here? The student said, hey, I'm measuring this. They said, no, it's not researchable. Imagine a student that has scaled through the stages of acceptance of the theory, topic and writing of different chapters and the likes. And at the end of the day, they said this thing is not researchable. Why? Because the choice of the topic in the first place was not given proper attention. And apart from that, the choice of variables, they were not aligned to a theory that gives a very good appearance to the work. So it is easy to quickly know the gaps in different literature where one have a very good theoretical basis for his work. Number 3, develop a clear and it helps to develop a clear and logical research topic or hypothesis. You can imagine that. That if you are able to come up with a theory, sometimes you say, but you are talking about the research topic and hypothesis here. That one is in the introduction part of the research now. Yes. The first thing that should come to your mind when you want to go for a research, the first thing that should go, you want to research in a particular area, the first thing that should come to your mind is, which theory am I going to base my work on? Because it is the theory that determines the way you want to fashion your topic. The hypothesis and the variables that will appear in your objectives and the likes, they are supposed to be called from the theory that is guiding your work. So, a good theoretical review will help to develop a clear and logical research topic or hypothesis. I love what a lecturer friend did. Before approving a topic, or immediately after approving a topic, I guess, for a student, the next thing the man told the students to do was to go and write literature review. And of course, because of that, the students would have checked theory. Of course, the first thing is to check is theoretical review, theoretical framework. So with that, the student has checked the theory, he has seen the variables, he has seen the necessary ingredients that must be in the research, he has seen the different gaps that people have left behind. That will enable the students to know what exactly he or she wants to address. And from that end, you can now come back to chapter 1 and say, okay, so this is the aim of my own research. This is what I want to study. This is the study problem, and this is how I want to fill the gap. And you can now move to the third method to look at the design and the methodology. So can we still see again? The next thing they said, a theoretical review helps to justify and lead your research methodology and design. It helps to justify the research methodology and design. The last thing here, it helps to substantiate and evaluate your findings and conclusions. You can now imagine that this is the usefulness of theoretical review, and many did not know. Many did not know. So the first thing to check, to have a reasonable research that will make sense and that will not be a repetition of what someone has done, and that will not just be an unnecessary repetition of works, is to conduct a theoretical review first. Conduct a theoretical review, look for a theory that will serve as a basis for your work, and look for a guiding framework from your theory. And this will help you to fill the gap, all right, and to choose a reasonable method. It will guide you in knowing the method, it will guide you in knowing the research, the design, it will guide you in knowing, in developing a very good hypothesis. In fact, after conducting your field work, analyzing it, interpreting your results, and drawing a reasonable conclusion, all of these things will be made easy by your theoretical review. So I want to recommend, I am the one recommending now that before picking up a research, before picking up a method to be used, a design, even the hypothesis and the likes, when you want to conduct a research, it's advisable to check theoretical framework first. Check theoretical framework first. And when you have checked it, of course, if possible, write your literature review from there, know the gaps and the likes and appraisal of literature and the likes. So after that, you can now move to writing your introduction. So I also want to implore lecturers, researchers that are watching this, that when a student is posted to you for research, it is always good to allow the student to start from theoretical review or literature review generally. Let the student start from literature review. And that is to a student that is really conducting research, because there are many fake researchers there. But if you really want your student to conduct a reasonable research, tell the student to start from literature review. By the time you see the literature review and you put it in proper shape, there's a very good theory guiding the work and all. By the time all of those are put in place, then it will be easy for the students to know the variables to consider. In fact, it will also be easy for you because you would have seen how it works in the literature. All right. So we said the following processes must be followed in order to write a very good theoretical review. I want to give us 5 guides, processes that you may follow in order to come up with a reasonable theoretical review. The first thing, determine the specific topic and scope of your inquiry. It is essential to have a clear and focused research question or problem that will act as the driving concept for your evaluation. So, like we said, that after approving a topic for a student, or as a student, after your topic has been approved, the first thing is to check the theoretical review. Theories that you want to adopt and how the theory has guided people's work in the time past. So we said the first thing to be able to come up with a reasonable theoretical review, the first thing is to select a topic of your interest and the scope of your inquiry. For instance, if you want to study something in West Africa, you want to study something in South Africa, you want to study something in Nigeria, you want to study something in US, you want to study something among SMEs in Afghanistan, you want to study this and that, maybe the future of the war between Palestine and the Hamas and Israel. All of this you want to check. Have a reasonable topic first. Know the scope that you want to check. Then we said it will help you it will serve as a driving force in the evaluation of the work. All right, the second thing is conduct a thorough search for relevant academic articles to guarantee the quality and credibility of your research. Utilize reliable sources such as academic databases, scholarly journals, authoritative books, and reputable websites while searching for and selecting the most relevant and reliable theories and models for your subject matter. Search. And that is why last week we started by looking at the different databases where search can be conducted. So search for materials, and when you are searching, you have to be guided. You have to be guided, because if you don't know how to search, you may run into problem. For instance, let's say, like the example we gave last week, we were looking at the learning of mathematics in secondary schools. If you want to know theories that may be useful for this, you have different ways we can search. We can say learning theories. Learning theories in education. If you look at that, you see now 15 learning theories in education. You can always go through this. You see behaviorism, cognitivism, and the likes. You can always go through this and know the different theories that are in existence. So that will help you, after knowing different theories that you can easily lay your hand upon. You know, you have known those theories, you know what they are saying, you know what they are all about and the likes. That will help you to know which one you want to adopt for your own work. It will help you to know which one you want to adopt for your own work. So what you use to search for the theory matters. That's what I'm trying to say. It matters. For instance, now we have just checked learning theory and we have seen Piaget theory of cognitive development. Let's look at a few. Another one, Vygotsky theory of learning. Bloom's domain of learning. So we have them in their numbers. We have different different theories like that. This is Jeremy Bronner and several other theories that are in existence. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So all of these theories, these ones are learning theories in education. So by the time you check these different theories, you will see what is very good that that is very, very similar to your work that you can always adopt. Now look at this one now. Maslow has given a pyramid and we have self-actualization, esteem, love and belonging, safety and security, psychological and the likes. Now, if you go through this and you see that this theory is very, very good for your work, especially when you are talking about the needs of students. So it will be easier for you to check. You can always know from this, what do you want to measure? Do you want to measure how a student has been shown love from home? And that's how it comes to serve as a determinant to students' learning achievements in the class. The safety and security of students in the school, how does it affect the academic performance? You can see that all this academic performance that we're talking about now and saying safety and security of students, love and belonging, how does it affect the academic performance? And all of that, they are variables now that we have only brought out from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's the theory. So that's what we are saying, that you will not even struggle looking for variables. I have a friend that is running PhD, and the first thing she told me one day was, which one is the independent variable? Which one is the dependent variable? Because variable is just, I must write variable. And I was like, what's your problem? Why are you struggling to get variables? They say, it's all about variable. Our lecturers, they used to say variable. Calm down. It's not something special. So the theory we guide in knowing the choice of variables. You are talking about students' need. Have you checked their aesthetic need? Have you checked their basic needs? You can't just jump into looking at their cognitive without looking at some other things that they need to be able to. So that is the place of the theory. It helps to know the variables to concentrate upon, to use the choice of variable in the research area of interest. All right, I still want to check. Let's say we want to check theories on human attitude. Theories on human's attitude. Let's check. You see, we have this one says the theory is divided into three, as you can see here: cognitive consistency, functional theory, and social judgment. There's a framework here that was brought out for that purpose. You see now, and the likes. So there are several theories that are in existence that talks about what we are doing. And these theories will help us to be able to have a guide, a roadmap for our study. All right. Next. Conduct a thorough examination and critical review of the literature. You have downloaded resources, you have gotten materials. Let's say you have searched like we have sought, and you have seen theories and you have checked and you have checked. Now, you have seen your theory that you want to adopt. Look for people that have used the same theory in your work. What have they said about it? How have they checked it? What are the pros and the cons of their study and all? It is good to do this. And that is what the next stage, the number 3 is saying. Conduct a thorough examination and critical review of the literature. It is advised that you study the literature and undertake a critical analysis of it. This entails comparing and contrasting multiple points of views, assumptions, and arguments and facts. Furthermore, it is critical to identify the major themes, concepts, and relationships that emerge from the literature. You understand now that research will be made easy if you check the theory that people have used, how they have placed their theories, how they have adopted it in their work, and all. Number 4, compile and organize the existing corpus of literature. You must consolidate and integrate the major concepts and findings from your literature, stressing similarities and differences, benefits and drawbacks, as well as flaws and disagreements. So all of these are what you are checking. As you are checking your literature review, as you are checking what people have written, the theories people have adopted, how they have aligned the theory to their work. As you are checking all of these, what you are looking for, you are comparing, contrasting what they have written, checking for similarities, checking for differences, knowing what this one has done, what this one has done, how has this one failed to achieve this, how has this one failed to concentrate on this, what is the strength of this one, what is the strength of that one, how has this one portrayed the theory that he has used and all. So these are the things to pay attention to. We say furthermore, it is critical to identify the major themes, concepts, and relationships that emerge from the literature. So all of this we check as we go through the theoretical approach that people have given to their works. Number 4, compile and organize the existing corpus of literature. You must consolidate and integrate the major concepts of findings from the literature, stressing similarities and differences between benefits and drawbacks, as well as flaws and disagreements. We have said that. Furthermore, it is recommended that you organize your review in a methodical and coherent way, using headings and subheadings to identify the information. So by the time we start looking at different research that people have done, different theories that they have used that has guided their works, we will understand some of these things that we are talking about more. Okay, so I have just 2 things more here. Number 5, write and revise your criticism. You have checked the strength of their works, you have compared and contrasted, you have checked what this one has written, the strength of this one, the failure of this and all. Then you to write your own. Tell us how you want to adopt and adapt the theory. Criticize the ones that you have seen constructively. Tell us what you have observed as weakness in this. Tell us what you have observed as weakness in that you have come to feel. It is best to write your critique in a clear and concise academic style, using appropriate citations and references to identify your sources. It is essential to properly evaluate and revise your criticism to ensure its accuracy, consistency, and lack of errors. So, as you are doing all of this, it is very good that you know how to cite citations. Maybe as we move forward, of course, definitely as we move forward, you teach us different ways of citing. But there are some software that make citations easy for us. Citation is an aspect of literature review that you can't do without. You called it literature review. It means you are reviewing existing literature. And if that is the case, then you must take citation serious. You must tell us where you saw it. Even though you are not writing this person's work as you have seen it in his work, you have digested it and you have written it in your own word. But because the idea was not from you in the first place, then you must cite. You must cite. And citation and referencing, you don't just reference anyhow. You follow stipulated order. There are different citation styles depending on the one adopted by your school. Generally and commonly, we use APA style, and APA continues to evolve. Currently, we are using APA 7th edition generally. There's also Harvard style. There are different styles. Sometimes you also have your school with their unique style of referencing and citation. So always know which citation style. We have IEEE style also. There are different styles of citing and referencing. So know the one you want to use and use it very well. If possible, search for how to cite using that style adopted by your school. And make sure that you cite very well in your literature review, because that is the essence of literature review. All right, so let's end on this. A theoretical framework is a research phenomenon or issue made up of the underlying concepts. Let me start again. The theoretical framework of a research phenomenon or issue is made up of the underlying concepts, theories, ideas, and assumptions that are used to describe it. It provides a theoretical framework for guiding research creation, implementation, analysis, and interpretation. This is by Mohammed, 2023. So what I've done here is that I have cited Mohammed. I have cited Mohammed. And at the end of the day, I must reference Mohammed. So by the time we are looking at citation and referencing, we will teach us to cite and to reference. All right, so having checked this theoretical framework and what it means, we have checked the meaning of theoretical framework. We have checked how to practically approach writing of theoretical framework. We have seen how there must be a selection of topic, how there must be a thorough search. After you have sought for materials, you must vigorously read through them. After you have read through them, get your findings from them and compare them together, compare and contrast, and come up with your own and write your own. As you are writing your critique, then you should reference sources where you have seen ideologies. These are basic steps and guides for writing an acceptable theoretical framework. So let's now move forward and check how people have written this theoretical framework in their different research. If you can see my screen, you will see an example on the screen. Theoretical framework. This fellow is checking is writing a research for the sake of safety and permission. I will not tell us the institution. I will not tell us the institution, but we have this now, theoretical framework, like you can see. The theory of planned behavior, that's the first theory that this person was checking. Before I move forward, let me say this. I have seen two styles that people use in this, and I am open for discussion. If anyone wants to discuss with me on any of my sayings, you can always chat me up and let's talk. I have seen two things. There are times that a researcher will look at different theories. He will talk about different theories that are relevant to his work. And sometimes you see somebody mentioning up to 10 theories. And at the end of the day, he will now say one. He will now adopt one that he is using. And that one that he's using, he will tell us why he's going for that, and we explain how it has come, how it is useful in his work. So I have seen that. At the same time, I have also seen another style that you only tell us the theory you want to use and dwell on it. You don't need to tell us this one also, this theory also, this theory came from this theory, and this one came from this one. And so this one also happened, and this one also is a theory that is relevant. You don't need to tell us those stories. Tell us the story, tell us the theory that you want to adopt, and tell us more about that theory. So in all of this, I will still say whether to know if you are going to check different theories and pick one, or you just tell us the theory you want to use and continue to expatiate on it. It depends on the style of your institution and the convenience of your supervisor. Don't forget that anything you write, your supervisor is the first person that must be approved of it. So if your supervisor says this is the way he wants it to look like, discuss it and reason it out and reach a reasonable compromise so that you know how to navigate forward. All right, so the theory of planned behavior. This is the first theory that this person checked here. Let's see if he checked another theory apart from that theory. Number 2, strategic planning and management process. Yeah. So which other one again? You see now, it's just 2 things that this person has checked. And now you will see that on the first major theory that he has adopted, the theory of planned behavior. After explaining the theory, the different people that have written around it, what people have said, what people have written around theory of planned behavior. Now you see these variables. Now he said the framework was designed by formulating 6 hypotheses as displayed in the figure. So this is the figure, and these are the things. Number 1, growth in number of employees, GNE. We associate positively with business annual turnover of SMEs. And now if you are a researcher writing, and you are writing around this theory, you already have access to some of the things that you can use as your variable. You can bring these variables home, and also check them in what you are studying. All right. So now, this person has picked this theory of planned behavior. He has explained it. You see that he has explained it, and as brief as possible, he was able to drive us and bring out some variables that we can now adopt in our work. All right. So that is someone who has adopted the theory of planned behavior. And this is how he has used the theory to explain what he's trying to do. Let's check this one as well. This study is underpinned by Merton's legitimation code theory. You can see the underpinning theory of this person's work. Merton's legitimation code theory. This theory helps to show legitimation code theory. After the general introduction of that topic, the theory, which is an extension of Basil Besten's concept of discourse and knowledge structures. Now, after he has adopted the theory that he wants to use, the next thing is that he explained that legitimation code theory. You understand now? The first person only picked theory of planned behavior, explained it. Picked the second theory, explained it. But this one now, this one also picked legitimation theory, he explained it. Now let's see if he has brought other theories around it. So 11.2, is there anything like that? Okay. Wow, it's only that one theory that the person used and concentrated upon. All right, so you see that these two materials that we have checked now, they only picked the theory they wanted to use, explain it from different people's explanation, explain their understanding of it, and they were able to come up with a framework for their work. Look at this one also. The study is supported by two theories. In the case of this person, two theories are guiding his own work. The first one, Vygotsky's theory and of social constructivism, and the second one, critical pedagogy. These theories are used as a lens in these studies to help identify the limits of the study. These theories will also be used to interpret the data and propose an explanations of the underlying causes of phenomena. The two theories are used to answer the questions in this study. You can see that what provided a guideline, a roadmap for the study is their theoretical framework. And he has chosen two theories that he felt would be very useful for his work. He has explained the two theories vigorously. He has taken his time to explain these two theories that he was going to use. All right, so let's check one or two more theories. This is a theory. This one brought out a theory around communication and conflicts. And the theory is what is adopting for the major work. All right. So we have this one is using leadership and management theories. All right. So he has checked theories around leadership and management. And here now, he said theories of leadership. Theories of leadership, he brought out great man theory, trait theory, behavioral theories, contingency theories, charismatic leadership theories, transactional leadership theories, transformational leadership theories. So these are different theories of leadership. He has given us a short form, a framework for these theories, and he proceeded by explaining these theories one by one. You see now, that's why I said there are two styles. You see that for the first two people that we have checked, they only picked the theory they wanted to use, explained the theory itself, and they move forward. But this one now explained that, okay, there are 5 different theories of leadership, and it's explaining all the theories one by one. And it's at the end of his work that he's going to tell us which one specifically is he going to adopt. Now, there have been many theories and he has explained many theories, but which one is he going to adopt is, then you see that he's comparing that. He said advantages of behavioral leadership theories. After checking the advantages, he said disadvantages. All right, then he checked contingency theory. So that is how to vigorously look at each the theories. So depending on the style that is acceptable by your supervisor and the school, if they want you to pick your theory and explain it, go for that. And if they want you to explain the different theories that are similar to your work before you adopt your own, then know the style that is acceptable in your institution. Know the style that is acceptable in your institution. It is very, very germane to do that. All right. So let's end on this literacy theories. This person has also checked different theories around literacy, and after checking the theories, explaining them in details according to different facts obtained from different literature. You see now, we have Jen's theory. Jen's theory is there and different other theories under that. All right, so there are two styles that we have seen here, and it is expedient that you pay attention on it. And please, like I said, always work with your supervisor. The first style is check the theories that are relevant. Explain all of them, and tell us why you will not use any of them. This one is very good here, but I will not use it because of this. This is the strength of this one. This talks about this. It fails to talk about this. It is not really, it would have been good for this work had it been it added this, but it has not added it. This work refuses or fails to adopt this theory. So after explaining all the theories, then when you see the one you now conclude and say, this work will adopt this theory because it explains this, it explains this like this, it gives this, it's so that's the style. The second style is you don't need to explain all the theories. Tell us one theory or two that you want to use. And after knowing the theories that will guide your work, explain those two theories. You don't need to check other theories. Explain those two theories alone. Explain them in detail. Tell us how you want to use them, the advantage, the disadvantages, why you chose to use them, how they are relevant to your work. Check all that. And after checking all that, conclude your work. So these are the two ways, two approaches to writing theoretical review. You may like to choose any of them depending on your agreement with your supervisor. So an assignment that I'm going to give us here is that you, on that choice of topic, like I told you last week, that you should search, you should pick a topic, search for 10 materials at least, and let me know. All right. So now the next assignment now is, you have seen materials that will give you insight on what you are doing. Check those materials and check the theories that they used. Those materials are relevant to your work, I believe. So check the different theories that they used and write out the theories that they used and explain them. If there are 2, 3, 5 people that have used the same theories, tell us how they have used it and the strengths of each. Compare and contrast between their usage of that of the theory. And please send them to me so that I can see what you have done. This is your assignment, and we will meet. I want to appreciate those that powered this training. Basilia Research Institute, Basilia Research and Analytics Institute, BRAIN. So when you see BRAIN Innovation, BRAIN means that Basilia Research and Analytics Institute, BRAIN Innovation and Analytics, we consult, we celebrate you. I also want to appreciate Dr. Mrs. Adeleke for making the class today reasonable and well arranged. So I want to appreciate those that have contributed together to ensure that this class is holding. So we are going to meet next week, the same time on Zoom. God bless you.